Hi, welcome back to the Launch Point Leader Podcast. My name's Lori.
And this is Beau.
And we are so excited to be back here another week with a letter a listener has written in about a struggle that they're facing in their journey. Let's just dig right in and get into the letter from today. It says, Dear Launch Point, here's my reality. My boss does not give feedback, ever. If I don't mess up, I hear nothing. If I do mess up, I get a vague comment in passing, and that's about it. No direction, no guidance, no real conversation. It's like I'm working in a vacuum. I have no idea if I'm doing great or if I'm one step away from being let's go, and I just feel exhausted. At this point, I feel motivated and I want to get better, but how am I supposed to grow if the person leading me won't actually lead me? Silence is not a strategy. At this point, I'd rather hear something brutal than keep pretending I know what they're thinking. So tell me, how do you deal with a boss who acts like feedback is optional? Signed, Guessing Game.
Yeah, I like it. The idea of knowing if you're doing well versus being one step away from being let go. That's kind of
it's an interesting place to be in too, to not only feel like you don't have feedback, but to something about it is leading to this tension of almost anxiety of like, is it going bad? Are they really disappointed in me? I don't know. It could sometimes people veer on that side of always assuming the worst, but maybe it is something in the way that the leader's talking to them if they're only getting communicated with when things aren't going the way they should.
Sure. Yeah, I think guessing game, this has not been a problem for me in my career. Pretty much everybody knows where they stand, I think, for the most part. Do you know where you stand?
I hope so, unless something crazy is about to happen live right now.
Well, you never know. But this is I can understand and can appreciate where you're coming from on this. It is hard to not really know where you stand. The first thing I would direct you to is, do you have, we talk about this a good bit here, but do you know your objectives that you're supposed to be achieving? Do you know the goals that you're supposed to be hitting? And do you have really clear measurements for you to know whether you are achieving those things or not? And I think really, is it nice to have a boss, a superior, a direct report that is really intentional with you and tells you good job when you're doing great, that gives you specifics about what you're doing great, that gives you specifics about gaps you need to close? Yes, I think that's the sign of a really good leader. But if you don't have that, you should at least have those tangible things to know, am I winning or am I losing? And be able to judge that yourself based on the metrics that you were given to hit.
So you're creating like a personal scorecard almost of like if you, and it sounds like for this person, like knowing that they're winning is very important, knowing that they're succeeding. So it is taking some of those tangible things and putting it down and measure it yourself. You know, you might not always have the luxury of someone giving that to you in the direct moment. And I think, you know, we talk, obviously this is a leadership podcast. Yeah. A lot of our people are leaders. At a certain point, you don't have somebody right there directly to even do that for you. And so if leadership is something you're interested with, which I assume because you're listening to this podcast, it is, it's actually a great learning curve to start building some of these systems for yourself now. And I think a scorecard can be a really simple way just to like, it doesn't have to be super intense. It's just something you look at every Friday and go, how did I win this week? Check, check, check. Yes, I'm on track to where I need to be.
Yeah, so I agree. That's great. I mean, I think that the line of the person leading me won't actually lead me is an interesting one, because I think you hit the nail on the head with what you just said. Sometimes you're going to get to a point in your leadership journey where you're not answering really to anybody, and you've got to figure that out, which is a interpersonal struggle sometimes in and of itself. But I think what you laid out right there is really simple, really straight to the point. I do think if you don't have those things, right, you obviously need to work on that. So that's probably step one. And then if you want to try to lead upwards, you know, take those measurements and take those results and have them readily available so that the next time you get a passing comment, whether it's positive or negative, you've actually got some real data to go off of, and you can say, hey, actually, thank you for that. Actually, here's what we've been doing on my team. And thank you. Great point. But here's what the results are saying. So I think it gives you a little bit of leeway there, leverage to kind of fire back a little bit if you just get a passing comment too.
Yeah, so that's passing in the moment. So we get to the point where this person wants to formalize this and like have a formal discussion, a meeting. How do they go about having that conversation with a leader? How would you want a member of your team to come to you if you were struggling with this?
Yeah, I think that's a great question. I mean, I think probably everybody is different, but as a leader of leaders, I think for me, when somebody comes to me and wants to change something or wants to kind of present something and point out maybe a gap that I have or a gap the organization has, they need to be like really specific with what they are wanting to do. They need to be really specific with why it's important to do this, why it's important to the business, to the mission, to the people that are in the business trying to achieve that mission. And they need to be really clear with what they believe the outcomes will be as a result of the changes they want to bring to the organization or to me as their leader. And I personally, I don't love emotion. I don't love dramatics. So like, let's just get right to the point. Let's use facts, data, and logic. And if you can do that, then I think I will always listen to those people. I might disagree, but I will always listen to those ideas and try to work on, with that individual, with the team, what we could do better as a result of what they brought forward for the business. Because I think at the end of the day, if you bring these ideas forward the way I suggested, which was your question there, I think it gives off the sense to the leader they really care. It's not just calling things out that are wrong. They're saying, hey, I'd love to see if we could do this, and here's why, here's the impact I think it'll make. And if you do that, it's clear that they want to be there, they care about the organization, the mission, and they care about their team. So it would be silly to not at least listen as their leader and see what you could integrate and understand more what they're talking about.
Yeah, that's good, because obviously you've got to read into it a little bit, but it sounds to me this is a situation where you've got a team member who veers on the side of relationships in working, and they feel very secure in their work when they have a solid relationship and they want to know where they stand.
Yeah.
And then you've got a leader who isn't giving that. It sounds like they veer towards the side of responsibilities and results. And so it's bridging that gap. And I think it's exactly what you said, as someone who is potentially, and that doesn't always mean emotional going in, but is valuing this. I think what you said, answering the what, why, and the facts behind why, what currently isn't working, and your suggestions, bringing that and saying, hey, these are some communication norms I would really appreciate. If this is a person you're working, like they're your direct report or you're their direct report, let's every Friday, I just want to know, did I meet your expectations? Whatever that might be. Monthly, having that touch point would alleviate so much on yourself that you're feeling and help the leader. I think that really shows them you are proactive as someone that wants to continue to grow. But going in, I think leading with those things and reminding yourself and organizing it. I think it can also sometimes happen. Lots of things are happening in your head. Sounds like they're all over the place a little bit with, I could be being great or I could be almost fired. They're all over the place. Getting it down on paper will also help them rationalize the situation as well. But
let's be honest. Like, are we really in that place? I mean, I'm guessing game. I'm not, but like, are we really there? Are we like, I'm doing great or I might be getting fired? Yeah. Is it, I mean, just because you're not getting feedback, I think you probably got to know where you are in that spectrum. Am I wrong on that? Or
it can be. I think sometimes a few different ways. You can be a really high achiever, and I think as a high achiever, you can feel that weighted pressure on yourself from where you go from high to low really quickly, right? You feel, I'm doing great, and then if one thing goes wrong, you go, oh, this is the end. Whereas when you have maybe just a more steady person, they're always feeling like I'm pretty good, whether or not they're doing well or not, is my perception.
That's fair.
Now, is it a little dramatized? Probably. I'm sure they don't actually feel as if they're about to be kicked out the door any second, but I think it is another good reminder of what you're saying. Like, is that reality? Like, fact check yourself there and be like, I know it's tough to have someone you can't communicate directly with, maybe in the way that you feel as if you should, or maybe leaders you've worked with in the past, but be real with yourself and take a breath.
Absolutely. And obviously this leader that they're talking about needs to do some work, it sounds like. Yeah. But at the same time, we can only control us. And so I think that's really the thought there is when you're when you're telling yourself these stories in your head and these soundtracks, ask yourself the question, is it helpful and is it true? And a lot of times it's one but not the other. And if it's not both helpful and true, try to do a little bit more work on your thinking and that soundtrack that you're putting in your head. But that's a whole nother, story for another time. The last thing I'd suggest, just with this person, with the guessing game and their leader, is, have you ever gone to your leader and just say, hey, tell me a little bit about, like, what do you do? Like, what do you do in a day? I'd love to get inside of your world and just kind of understand what the pressures are that you have and what's on your plate every single day. That would help me be a better support to what you're doing and what the organization is doing. I think that's a really humble approach to take, but also to it kind of helps you get in with that leader potentially, but it also kind of maybe helps them to realize as the leader that people are wanting to know what they actually are doing with their day and with their time. And it might just be a good little opportunity to build relationships and to kind of have a little spark for this leader potentially. Yeah,
that's a great creative idea that goes beyond just, I'm coming to you with an issue here. I just want to learn more about you as well and get a little bit more in depth. I think that's great.
Yeah.
And I think these are really simple things, guessing game. Like we said, there are opportunities here. And, at the end of the day, you can only control what you can control. And what I really like what we talked about today is just getting down for yourself, writing down out your facts. And I really love what you said a few minutes ago about ask yourself the things that you're thinking. Is it helpful and is it true? Because a lot of this up and down that you're feeling, a lot of it's going to be intrinsically motivated. So you've got to make sure that you're examining that yourself and not always just placing the blame on outside factors. Of course, that can be influencing, and things we talked about today, like creating your own scorecard, going to your leader with that scorecard, and then just getting to know them and more of their background of what they're doing are important. But I think using that lens for yourself is going to be the root of what's going to help you more than anything at the end of the day.
Yeah. That's great. And tell your leader to sign up for coaching with Launch Point Leader.
That's right. Maybe also just text them our website, send that over, and that could help them. And then you'll be perfect. Everything will be sunshine and rainbows.
Very good. Well, I appreciate you writing in. That's awesome. Thanks for the conversation, guessing game.
Yeah, we appreciate it. Thank you so much. And if you or someone out there listening wants to write us in as well, you can visit our website at launchpointleader.com, and we would love to hear from you. Thanks so much. We'll see you next week.
Thank you.